Hello, sports fan. Welcome to the Packs for Breakfast All Star team, brought to you by panini sandwiches and 16 pieces of Fleer Ultra. Make sure count them. 15 pieces of Flair. It might have been 15. I don't remember the exact one. I think it was 15 pieces of Flair. If you want me to wear 15 pieces, if you want me to wear 30 pieces of Flair, just make it 30. Whatever the quote was, I'm sure there are a million people that know the quote exactly. I've forgotten it. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. So, what we have here is we have some of the defensive stars. Because the Panini cards like to focus on stars anyway. So I'm going to focus on stars. I'm going to be just like Panini. 2021 Panini to be exact. That's what those cards are over there. We opened up a bunch of cards. We do it every single Sunday. Chris and I, we open up a bunch of packs of cards. We're going to do it this Sunday too. We're going to open up 2023 and 2024 baseball. Holiday baseball, I guess is what they are. Topps holiday baseball packs. So a lot of newer players. So if you're a recent baseball fan, you're going to dig it. This is football, obviously, because probably somebody in there, actually I don't think anybody in there has a football in their hand because they're all defensive players. Defensive players don't get to have the football. Oh wait, let's see. Jair Alexander has, I don't think he has any career touchdowns, poor guy. Lawrence Taylor has 2 defensive touchdowns in his career. Reggie White, 2 defensive touchdowns in his career. Darrell Green, 6 touchdowns in his career. Von Miller, 2. It's like, there are plenty of defensive touchdowns all over that. Somebody should have a ball in their hands. You telling me you couldn't give Aaron Donald the ball on offense and he could get from 1 yard? He could have been the new Fridge. He could have been Aaron Fridge Donald. He could have, but he was better than the Fridge. He really was. One of the best defensive linemen to ever play the game, Aaron Donald. So we're going to compare 2021 to 1991. And you are going to decide, and I am going to decide, who I would take in these groups. Now I can already tell you where the weak point is for the 2021. It's Jair Alexander. He is a very good player. He has right now in his career after 7 seasons, well, he's still got a little bit to go in this season, 287 tackles, 1.5 sacks, but he's got 12 interceptions, 70 pass deflections. So he's got 2 INTs this year. I don't think he's played every game. I think he's missed some games this year with injury. He's, I think for the most part, he's pretty durable though. So that'll take them down a little bit because on the other side of him, that's Darrell Green. Darrell Green is one of the greatest cornerbacks to ever play the game. He has 1,159 tackles. Just so you know, nobody up on that board has more tackles than that cornerback. And so Darrell Green, a corner, has more tackles than any other player on that team. Now granted, 2 of the players still have more career to go, but they're not close. Aaron Donald's career is pretty much done, and he doesn't have, if you combined Aaron Donald and Von Miller's tackles, they come up to a little over 1,100. Ooh, boy, I'll tell you what right now, I think Darrell Green has still got more combined over Aaron Donald and Von Miller. That's how good Darrell Green was. He also had 54 interceptions in his career. He was a 2-time Super Bowl champion with 6 tutties. Now, the great part about Darrell Green is one of the fastest guys in the NFL. And at one point, he actually played alongside another great cornerback for Washington. It was Champ Bailey. So those 2 played on the field, I think, at the same time for some years because Darrell Green played for 20 seasons. So there you go. That's Darrell Green. Obviously, has given a 1-0 lead on the 1991 squad. We're gonna move to the defensive linemen. Because it's like, this is the closest battle in my opinion, but it's not close. It's like Aaron Donald against Reggie White. Aaron Donald is considered one of the most elite defensive tackles of all time. He has 111 sacks in his career. I think he jumped all over the line. I think he could play tackle, he could play end. His last season, he had 8 sacks. In his 2018 season, he had 20.5 sacks. He is also a Super Bowl champion. 543 tackles for his career. But you go to Reggie White's numbers, the Minister of Defense, 1,111 tackles with 198 sacks. Almost the 200 mark is what Reggie White did. He was such a great defensive lineman. And here, look how, this is a gigantic man. He had 3 interceptions. He was also a Super Bowl champion for the Green Bay Packers. Played 16 years. He has sadly passed on, but just such a great defensive lineman. Such a great defense, and I don't want anybody to ever forget him. Talk about him at the end of 2024. Still, he was amazing. Aaron Donald is amazing, but the thing is, Aaron Donald has no reason to play 16 seasons and beat up his body like that because of the money they make now. So it's good that Aaron Donald, hopefully will have a better quality of life, because he did make so much money in a shorter amount of time than Reggie did. So, I guess one place that Aaron might win is maybe quality of life after football. Now let's move to the linebackers. I'm sorry, right now, this competition is pretty much over. It was 2-0. Reggie, to me, I take Reggie over Aaron Donald. Now we have Lawrence Taylor and Von Miller. Von Miller, that's a Bronco. That's a Denver Bronco. I'm a Bronco fan. But let's go over the numbers just real quick. Von Miller, 576 tackles in 13 seasons, 127.5 sacks as it stands now. Still got some time to go. He's got 4 sacks this year. He was the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 50. He has 2 defensive touchdowns and a couple of interceptions for himself. Von Miller was, he was one of my favorite Denver Broncos. He's got some off the field issues that take him down a peg, and I don't know if they're substantiated or if they're just rumored or if somehow, because he never seems to get major suspensions for these, and they always seem to get, they feel like they get swept under the rug and you never really hear about him again. But he does have a few off the field issues. But if you want to talk off the field issues, let's go to his running, who he's running against, Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor has notoriously, and you could look up Lawrence Taylor's off-field escapades. You will get a list. So he has not been the model citizen for his entire football, life, and definitely post-football life. But look at Lawrence Taylor's numbers: 1,088 tackles, 132.5 sacks, 2 defensive touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He was a 2-time Super Bowl champion. And here's the thing about Lawrence Taylor. This will tell you how good Lawrence Taylor was. In 1986, he won MVP of the league. Not defensive MVP, the league MVP. Nowadays, you wouldn't give that to anybody but a quarterback. You're going to give it to Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. That's who that award is basically going to. It's going to, Burrow. It's going to go to somebody like that. It's going to go to somebody that puts up big numbers at the quarterback position. And the only person that's going to have a chance is if there's a wide receiver that can do 2,000 yards receiving. If there's a running back that can break the all-time rushing record in a season. Probably a linebacker or defensive lineman would have to come up with 30 sacks to get that trophy. So for Lawrence Taylor to do that in 1986, it just tells you how good he is. And that right there is the clean sweep. They swept him in 3. It was pretty easy for 1991 to win this one. And that's All-Star for now.